to the Princess of STEM Diaries. My name is Whitney Gaskins, and I'm excited about our show today. Welcome. I have my special guest, Mr. Delano White, also known as my Nez Bay. Do we call each other that?
Yes.
Anyway, it's a thing. So we're here to talk about the STEM ecosystem and just a little bit more about the world of STEM and why it's important to not just him, but me, us as a family.
Yes.
Okay. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Delano, as you said. I am a chemical engineer by trade, graduated from the University of Michigan, Go Blue.
We will never get through a conversation without that, will we?
Shouldn't have to.
Okay, go ahead.
Active member for years of the National Society of Black Engineers. I was the national chair of the organization for a couple years, and a lot of the work that we did in NSB, I've taken and put it into ideas for our foundation. Things that may not necessarily have worked at that time. I think a lot of the work in terms of being in the community, we do that with the Gaskins Foundation. Chair, you're really looking at the strategic planning piece. You're seeing the data. You get to see where the numbers are, but you get to see the people. So you get to see engineers in Detroit, where I'm from. You get to see engineers in Cincinnati, where I'm at now. You see engineers from California. And so you don't think about what I'm doing as an engineer. You're thinking about how can we advance engineering within our community.
Wonderful. But you were national chair of this organization how long ago?
20 years.
What's changed?
If
anything, what's changed?
How we communicate. The problems haven't changed.
Okay.
Same problems that we had. Our students, in some cases, aren't doing as well in school. Students aren't entering in the STEM, not just STEM, but engineering specifically.
Okay.
And I think one of the things we do as an organization is to try to figure out why. So the challenges NSB had when I was chair still exist.
Yes.
And so I think what I like about the foundation, and I know you'll probably talk to more people who you work with about this, we work with researchers. I think there's a lot of people that are doing things.
Yeah.
They program and they're practitioners, but are they working? People get mad at me, and I say this, I not necessarily, fully believe in it, but as part of the conversation, I tell people I failed as national chair. And I tell people that everybody that was national chair of NSB failed. Because engineering enrollment, when I was chair, was here. Engineering enrollment, where we're at now, is pretty much still here. So that means, dare me sharing my age, after 20 years with all the programming, not just NSB, but all the programming that has been done, have not had the impact that we wanted to have.
Yeah, I feel like I have this perspective that is slightly different. I don't think it's NSB's job to actually do what we say is the mission of the National Society of Black Engineers.
I agree with that.
So to say that our mission is to increase the number of right? So just that first part, to increase the number, is impossible to do as an affinity organization. Though that is the job of institutions of higher education, to actually increase the number, which also is becoming harder and harder as the Supreme Court has ruled against affirmative action, and then we've seen legislation about anti-DEI legislation introduced in 28 states, 40 different bills in 28 different states. So the attack to actually increase the number is outside of NSBE's scope. So I appreciate why you feel like you're a failure, but I would also push back to say that's because you were also operating outside of your zone. Like NSBE's place is retention. So when we talk about increasing the number, it's not in representation about who's matriculating through these programs. It's about making sure those who do get in are retained in those programs. That's NSBE's goal.
No, I agree. And I think that's why I enjoy the work I do every day with the foundation. Because that's one of the challenges, I think, when you have an affinity group that is doing this work as a support system. So now I'm in the foundation that 40 hours a week at minimum, we're working on how do we get more
40 hours
students.
is
Yeah, I'm up at
totally
5 o'clock.
undershooting.
5 a.m. to 6:30 is my brainstorming session.
In the morning.
Every morning. I call that my brilliant, what's the movie? That's my beautiful mind time.
Yeah, because
where I just
our house looks
ideate.
crazy.
But I think now we understand. I don't think certain organizations on the national level are supposed to be the ones that make the change. I think it's grassroots at a local level. And I think that's where
The
we
change
come
happens.
in. Yes. And I think that's why I love the work we do. That's why I love when we discuss bringing out programs and you roll out a program and you see people are impacted by the program and you see, as you've said, you'll go to a conference, somebody that was in our program as a ninth grader, they've graduated and are now getting their PhD. And students who were with us in middle school are in college now, and they'll say you were the reason why why I got more interest, because I didn't like math and science, and we helped connect the things we were doing to what they should do in school.
I know the impact that we have is real. I've felt it, I've witnessed it, and I've been told explicitly, right, in students and participants' testimony. But I asked you very specifically about NSBE because you mentioned it in your bio, and I was trying to understand what was the gap, right? So we've talked about what the gap is, and I'm very curious if you could tell me what you think the secret sauce is of the Gaskins Foundation, because NSBE does fail at this, right? We've established that, like, building the ecosystem, NSBE's more retention, but that's in college.
Right.
That's college. What's the secret sauce of the Gaskins Foundation?
I think we get more students into the pipeline, because I think NSBE doesn't do the getting students interested in STEM. I think what NSBE is great at, and what NSBE has always hung its hat on, is that NSBE support students who are in the pipeline, and NSBE gets those students jobs, and NSBE gets those students a safe pace. I mean, there's a reason why NSBE has grown. And
It's a safe, supportive environment. I always say NSBE is fraternal.
Right.
Like, it is absolutely the same feeling I get when I go to a sorority meeting or conference. That same feeling of love and support I get from NSBE. There is nothing like going back to a convention regionally or nationally and just seeing all of the people. Like, these are people that have been rocking with us since we were 18, right? Like, when I started college, I get to see some of those same people and just seeing where we've grown. It is very fraternal. And we literally have nothing but love for one another. And we fight like family.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the secret sauce, I agree with everything you said. I think the secret sauce from what we do as a foundation is helping students see what they can do and helping connect. Because a lot of times, one of the mistakes I think the school systems have is that they have class and they teach you math, then they teach you physics, and then they teach you chemistry.
Yeah, we still teach in a manufacturing model, and we are not training kids to work on a manufacturing line, which is why school systems were set up in the manner that they were. Context matters to me. I'm a context learner. So I'm like, why do we teach math, science, English, reading in silos? It was to train people to do segmented, siloed work, because they were, at that time, supposed to go off and work in a manufacturing plant. Kids aren't doing that anymore. So why do we even teach and educate like that?
Right. And I think
It's weird.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that students tell me, and there's a lot of the high school students, is, oh, this makes sense. I've never had physics in a way where I can see how it applies to the world. And we do a lot of project-based learning, and we do some challenge-based learning where we basically, to use an equivalency, it's like in sports, we just roll the ball on the court and tell them freestyle, what do you want to see? How do you envision engineering? Now we give them parameters, we teach them about the engineering design process, we teach them about the scientific design, but we ask them, how do you see the world? Especially older students. How do you see the world? Can you make it better? Because they can relate to that. And then we try to help them understand that, yeah, you want to do all those things, but you still got to do your physics, of course.
So I love that you're making connection to things that they're learning. I call it contextualized curriculum. So making it so it's real, situated in something that they've seen and something that they experience. But I'm really curious about a few things. One, give me the elevator pitch for the Gaskins Foundation, because you keep talking about what you do, but I would love to hear about the programs, all of that, right? So I want to hear your elevator pitch. But then I also want to ask you about, if you could change a couple of things, what would it be? So elevator pitch first.
We are one of the premier K through 12 organizations. I can't even say K through 12.
Yeah.
For the last 3 years, we've been doing workforce development, because a lot of the skill sets, especially for high school students, around coding, around design, adults are needing those, especially with the world transitioning to where it is now, where everything is going more tech.
Okay.
So I'll say K through career programming. So we are an organization that can prepare multi-generational families, equip them with the skills to be effective in STEM majors and STEM careers. We'll get you that job and we'll get you paid.
Okay, you passed the quiz a little bit. But there's so much to what we do. I don't feel like people have a understanding of how much work actually happens. Because I mean, earlier, like, 40 hours, baby, we work way more than 40 hours a week. I don't think people have an appreciation for how much work goes into it. Tell you this enough. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
When I started the foundation, it was workshops for middle school kids just to do really cool things like making slime. I did not have the vision for where the foundation was going, and you've been with me since we started it, right? Like, that's crazy. We've been friends that long. Oh, okay. Anyway, we've been friends that long and then made it to this. I never had the vision. You did. And I don't think you get enough credit for that.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's helpful to have you as a partner, because I could ideate
All day.
for days. I mean,
You live in the clouds, boy.
we have walls and walls of ideas.
Yes.
I always tell people, they better never give me real money, because we will change the world.
No, give us all the money. We need all
she's
the
right.
coin all the time.
The only thing that stops us is resources. So we have ideas, and we're in our space. We have ideas written on the walls in our space. We have ideas written on the wall in our dining room that we know, if we had the resources, are the answers. And I think part of that is that research, being in the spaces, knowing what some of the issues are. So I say, at some point, you have to be realistic.
I'm
So
the realist.
You are the one that says, okay, You have 5 programs on that wall. Which one are we going to do now? We could talk about the next one in 6 months. And we could talk about the next one 6 months after that. And I think
You're
that's
being generous.
helpful.
I don't think I've ever given you 6 months. I'm pretty sure I said 2 years. I'm like I know that because my mind chunks programming. So I'm like, okay, you're going to kick it off, which means that you have to plan it, pilot it, figure out what you like, don't like, do it again. That's a 2-year process. See how much of a realist I am? But I need you equally because we would still just be doing workshops at middle schools. So without you telling me and giving me permission to dream bigger and do more, we wouldn't even be where we are. That's dope.
Yes. And I appreciate you as well. I think you asked, what would I change?
Yeah, the big thing, like, what would you change? What would you change?
I think there's 2.
Okay.
Resources.
Give us back to that money. Okay.
We have the answers. Maybe not to every problem that exists in the world, but I guarantee we have solutions to some of the bigger problems.
Yeah, I think we just need people to bet on us. Not that, so this is the other thing about us that you didn't say was our secret sauce. We're not scared to fail. We fail all the time. But I'm going to tell you, when I fail, I learn and I improve, and it gets so much better. I am not the fear of failure girl. I'm actually more scared of success than I am of failure. Because then when there's success, there's expectations.
The other thing I would change, and I think it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
I want people to not be scared of doing things they're uncomfortable doing. So we use the example.
What do you mean?
Let me explain.
Okay.
We have always used this sports example. Someone can be really bad at sports,
Yes.
but they will put all of their energy on their kid. And
To be mediocre.
To be a 5'3", thinking they're going to the NBA power forward.
Yes.
And so they will make sure they get the support around them. They will make sure they get practice.
They will
But when it
enroll
comes
them
around
in- yep.
education, I think some of that trauma, the parents will shut down and don't, maybe not the parents, but the community. Because like
No,
I
it's
said,
parents
if I
and community.
identify a kid as having the potential to be a good basketball player, the whole neighborhood is going to support, the whole church is going to support, everyone will support. But we don't get that same kind of drive when it comes to the academics, and most importantly,
We will give them, the
STEM
church will
space.
give them a scholarship when they get of age
Yeah,
to go
yes.
to college, but there isn't the same pouring into to make sure that they have the extra study session to pass the standardized test, to make sure that they're doing the AP courses. I agree with you there, right? Like the community isn't pouring into education in the same way that we will pour into athletics. I like the culture change. That's the one thing you would change is culture. You know what I think about in the foundation specifically, when we pre-pandemic, we had to turn people away because our doors were busting at the seams. We would have over 50 kids and families showing up to our programming, and it was amazing, and we were growing, and we were trying to, I don't know, manage it all. We opened multiple sites and locations to manage how many people were coming and getting those resources. The pandemic hits, we transitioned to virtual. We start doing STEM boxes and in a subscription service so people could still get that enrichment, but people still haven't come back. The view on the educational system has completely flipped, and I can't figure it out, and it's really messing with me.
Yes. One of the things I've been really struggling with, not struggling, but as we're doing research on the demagnetizing, and that's probably a whole conversation. The demagnetizing is where we look at where students are coming from to get into college, and what we're finding is most of them are magnet students.
Magnet school students.
Magnet school students. So for years they've been pushing this informal STEM learning piece. I actually think, and us having the STEM thought leadership as one of our areas, I think we need to dive more into more to formal learning. And I think we actually have to push back into the schools as well. Balance that with our informal programming outside of schools on weekends and evenings in the summer. But I think I've talked to 3 or 4 schools, elementary schools this week. None of them have coding. And so
Yeah.
if you're not doing coding, you're falling behind. AI is taking away jobs, the things that.
But the digital divide is still a thing.
Yes.
People do not have access to broadband. I mean, we're in Ohio, and there are huge pockets of people that still don't even have broadband access to internet, which lets us know that they don't have the ability to do high computational analysis, to do the coding that we're talking about, to get to the next level of tech.
Yeah, but you know where they do have the computers because of the pandemic now?
What?
In the schools.
They do have them in the schools. Our
And so we
library
have to get them
systems
to
are
use them.
fantastic. But people, again, don't care about education in the same way that they care about sports. Like, they care enough to make sure you're not illiterate. We don't care enough to make sure that you are STEM ready.
Yeah, but I think some of that is we have to have a conversation, because I think part of the reason why people go into sports is because they see,
They see what?
they see people making $700 million on a 10-year baseball contract. Like, I got nothing for you. Like, I want to go out
I
there
know.
and
I
pick
said
up a baseball bat
I
after
literally took Waylon to the garage when I heard that and was like, "Can you please hit this baseball?" And he was not.
So-
We're not going to get the $700 million.
But I think we do change the conversation. Like, when I spoke at a school today, and I think culturally, black people don't talk about money. Black people don't want to tell you how much money they make. They don't have that conversation. I went to the school today, and I told them, I said, you know what? Y'all are seniors graduating. You're going to work this summer. I work with freshmen in their first year after graduation. How much money do you think they're going to be making?
What
now?
was the guess?
$18 an hour. I said, well, we have students making twice that. So I
$18 an hour for an engineering student? They make $35.
Yeah. And that was the conversation. They were like, oh, I want to let T talk to me more about
Yeah.
that. And one, they're seniors, so that conversation should have happened earlier. But I think that gets their attention. The fact that
People don't realize how much money is in. No, they do. They hear tech is sexy right now. So people hear a lot about. They do. They hear a lot about technology
some
careers, working at LinkedIn, Facebook, like all these companies. What is it? The Big Five? Is that the thing? Right? Like these companies, people hear about it and they want to get into that space.
because they also present it as low-hanging fruit. Which
Well,
is one
yeah,
of the
because
challenges.
we've told people
the
that
T
they
is
can-
really strong. Like, if we were talking about STEM right now, it would be the T is really big.
Yeah.
So it's a S.
A lowercase s,
T,
big T.
M, because right now they make tech so accessible. And so a lot of people are getting, which is
We
good.
run a
because we haven't
program
been
to
in that.
upskill people
Yes,
ourselves.
yes. And so I think they are understanding the tech, but I still need some scientists. I still need some engineers.
That's true,
and
because
still
I
need
will
some
not go to a
doctors.
doctor that learned off of YouTube. Please go to
And
school.
that's the thing. That SEM part,
Yeah.
that's the part where you still gotta get the training.
Okay, I'm hearing all of this.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing record enrollment.
That's because everybody got record enrollment.
We're seeing record enrollment,
How are the percentages?
but it's not our people.
Right.
What's happening? Where are we at?
I don't know. I think I don't know how we do a better job of marketing it. I think that's part of it. I think one of the things, and to that point about changing the culture, we did something cool that we rolled out last year. We're doing it again. It's called Scholars Plus. And we gave all the students that made an honor roll, they got free tickets to the museum.
Yes.
And now we run ads on the radio where we pick a STEM student of the month. And the first thing we do on that ad is say who our student of the month is, and we get them a gift card, because we're trying to change this narrative to where, hey, you're getting attention because you're smart. Because you don't see.
We do the athlete of the month, so we should do the
And that's what
STEM
it's based
student
off
the
of.
month. Yeah.
In the Cincinnati, and I'm pretty sure most areas have this. Cincinnati, they have Penn Station does the Penn Station athlete of the month.
Yeah.
So we said, hey, why can't we do a STEM student of the month?
Yeah.
So every month we ask people to give us their STEM student, and they get their name heard on the radio. And we're trying to come up with different ways to to popularize that so people could say, hey, I want my child to be recognized as a STEM student of the month. And even beyond that, just being on the honor roll. Like I've talked to schools before, like we want, like if your team won the basketball game, y'all having prep rallies. I want the level of your honor roll celebration to be that level.
Correct.
I want the students who got all A's or A's and B's to get a grand celebration.
Just like we would
because
do a
we
pep
don't
rally.
we would do that for you have prep rallies for teams that are 0-8. So we always celebrate athletes. And I love sports. You
do.
I played sports. I was active. I played basketball in high school till I saw a real basketball player who was going to college and realized I need to pick up them books. And so I love sports, but I also understand that students understand that if you don't see that person that's going to the league and compare yourself to them, you need to have a plan.
I grew up in the same area, around the same area as LeBron James. So I feel like watching him play squashed a lot of people's hopes and dreams because everyone knew.
You need that.
From the time we were in middle school, he was going to the league. So we all kind of knew what that looked like.
Some of these kids are delusional.
They are very delusional.
I literally was teaching a kid, working with a kid in the engineering pathway. They were a senior. They were not even on their high school basketball team as a senior. And they were talking about how they were going to the NBA.
But they don't play?
No.
So delusion will probably be the number one mental health issue that we face as a culture because people have really bought into...
They really were talking... They were watching videos. They were talking about how they were going
TikTok.
to the league. And
there's no way you can...
But the thing is, you have to be careful. Because you tell them they can't... Next thing you know, they parent up at school talking about how you insulted their kid.
Oh, okay. Well, I get the carefulness, but I also think that we're literally not... See, math, right? Numeracy. There are how many people get drafted every year?
In the NBA?
In the NBA.
Like 60. There's 30 teams and there's
so
2
only
rounds?
like 60 people get drafted in the entire world because it's an international draft, is it not? You got to stop competing for 60 jobs. Like, if you're not playing, you're definitely not going to be the person that makes it. But we don't have those tough conversations because it does feel bad to be the dream squasher. But why can't it be about you can support basketball in a different way? All the basketball teams hire statisticians. They are going to hire marketing professionals, which all is about data analytics, and you can make big money.
Yeah, I think you do see that. I think some of the students that I've worked with that are athletes, you see a lot of them saying, I'm going to college for sports medicine.
Sports medicine,
so how do we get people into doing...
occupational therapists, trainers. Literally, there's ways to support a sport that you love without having to be the person on the court.
Right.
And maybe they need exposure to those careers. But that athlete, their body, I say his as if women aren't like pro athletes. Let me correct that. Like, athletes' bodies are also, if you're on the professional level, beneficiaries of research and scientists. Like, that was your answer?
Prince had a better career, has a better catalog, but ain't nothing gonna do it like off the wall. And as a performer, best performer.
Okay.
Beyonce has the best shows. Michael Jackson is the best performer.
Michael Jordan or LeBron?
LeBron.
Oh, you just made a whole bunch of people mad.
I'm from Detroit, so we already gonna be biased against Michael Jordan. Are you seeing what LeBron is doing though?
What? Tell me.
He year 2021 and is putting up 30 a game, getting triple doubles.
I have not. Yeah.
So this is a nuanced conversation that probably is a whole nother discussion. Mm-hmm. I would say Michael Jordan is the best basketball player we've seen.
Yes.
But LeBron James is the GOAT for the career.
That sounded like you were trying to be like, I'm going to play both sides.
No, I told you, I said LeBron.
Okay, but you also then tried
I'm saying I could go into nuance of why. Like, I'm not trying to crap on Michael Jordan, but if you look at LeBron, the fact that he's still doing it at a high level, I
am the same age as LeBron. What you trying to say?
And when's the last time you ran a track meet?
You're paying for that later.
You ran cross country for a year in college, right?
I didn't run cross country. I ran track.
You ran track, but in high school you ran cross country. It's the same in college, right? It's the same team.
It is
no,
the same
in high
team.
school it's two different teams.
The events are not the same. I was middle distance, and college humbled me. See, I wasn't one of those knucklehead kids that is like, oh, I'm going to go to the NBA. I got here as one of the top runners in the state. And I got out on that track and I got smoked by my own team that I was like, oh, I need to reevaluate some things. Like, I don't know if I can put in the level of work to even compete with these women. When I tell you I got smoked, it was literally me and one other girl, and everybody else, I feel like, almost lapped us. And I have never been so embarrassed. I took that as my cue of, let's rely on this because, baby, you're not that good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that was your moment.
It was my moment.
Just like me watching the guy dunk on the best players on our team and realized I was not near the best player on the basketball my moment, I realized, no, this is going to get me there.
Yeah, it was a little humbling, not going to lie. But I felt like I knew that I was also, okay, I'm smart. I can learn. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on my studies. Mm-hmm. But I definitely had that moment. It really did hurt my feelings to come in almost last. Almost last. I wasn't dead last, though. I'm not going to call her out, but there was a girl behind me, and she stayed on the team.
That's because she didn't have engineering to fall back on.
I was like, girl, you need to exit with me. Okay, last one. Oh, this is interesting. Facebook or Instagram?
I'm older, so Facebook.
Grandpa.
Don't do that. Facebook, I have more conversations with people.
You like to argue with people online.
I do.
I don't. I literally got into an argument 2 days ago because there is a math problem. Okay, we're going to talk about this because I'm really mad that everyone is failing math. It was 60
PEMDAS
divided by 5 times 7 minus 3. Mm-hmm. Or 7 minus 4. It was 7 minus 4.
Mm-hmm. That would be 4.
7 minus 4.
I'm saying the answer is 4.
Yeah, the answer is 4. I have no idea why people think the answer is 36. And I have shown people...
So can I add something to it?
Yes.
People who are really smart
are really failing.
PEMDAS.
Oh my gosh, it just makes my blood pressure. I literally do not get an online argument. Why did I respond to this post that I said the answer is 4? It's 4. Don't argue with me. It's 4. Why are people trying to tell me it's 36 and then trying to be like, I teach high school math. This is why our kids are enumerate now. If you're the teacher and you got 36, now I know why kids are failing math.
Now that being said, it's meant to be a trick question.
It is a trick question because it's about how you type it into your
Because you can literally have a calculator. 2 calculators will have 2 different answers, which shows the importance of user.
But it also shows that people don't pay attention to the unit when you learn about parentheses and brackets, which still is a math thing, which means you're still failing at math.